You are here for the Exam Prep AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Foundations. What does that mean for you? Hopefully, I'm going to say that twice. Hopefully, it means that you're here to learn and learn some cloud practitioner foundational type material. We are going to cover quite a bit today. I see good mornings are starting to come in, and I see a couple of questions. I will answer those questions here pretty soon. My name is Aaron Hunter. I'm going to be your instructor for the day. I have been with the company for, carry the one. Make sure to do all the core math stuff. I have been here since May 2015, so 7.5 years. I joined the company as a cloud support engineer. I see some people are laughing at my my bad jokes, but I've been here as I was a cloud support engineer. Now I am a senior technical trainer. So what does that mean for you? I get to teach you a whole lot of fun stuff, and we're going to spend the next 2 hours, 2.5-ish hours, getting to know each other. I see some people are asking questions and using the question panel to just interact, and I definitely recommend that each of you do that. Let me go ahead and actually read out some questions here and do some real quick housekeeping. First, like I mentioned, my name is Aaron Hunter. We have some people here who are going to be helping to answer the questions that you have in the chat or in the question panel. Brandon Gustafson, Darren Hunter, and Jose Eduardo Montilla Lugo. They are all here to help us. Thank you each. You know what? Under the question section, go ahead and say thank you to each of them. Say thanks, y'all. I'm going to wait. We're going to see if you know how to find the questions area, okay? Say thanks, y'all. Wait, hold on. I have to scroll down so I can actually see thanks, y'all. There it goes. Okay, everyone's saying it. All right, perfect. Thank you for that. Questions from people as we were waiting for the stream to go live. Will a recording of the webinar be available afterwards? No, we are recording this for quality and training purposes. We will not be distributing the recording out, okay? Let me see. Do not have a camera or mic on the PC. Is that okay? Yeah, you do not have to have a camera or microphone. You will not be on camera. You will not be on microphone. Only me and myself, only I will be on microphone. I actually will not be on camera either, so there's that. And then, okay, give me a second here. How many attempts do you get for the exam? You can actually attempt the exam as many times as you need to, but depending on when your attempt was, you might have to wait a few weeks before you can attempt it again. All right, and then okay, and slides moving rapidly, no voice. Oh, that's interesting. That's good to know that you were able to see the slides. Did you see my background as well? Okay, and then good morning. Sending the presentation deck. No, we will not be sending the presentation deck. All right, so hopefully I have captured all of the questions so far. If you have any other questions, go ahead and feel free to type those in the question area, and we will do our best to get back to you. A couple reminders and some housekeeping. Sessions are recorded for training and quality purposes only, will not be shared with you. There are no books, there are no labs, no handouts, and no takeaway materials that we can provide to you. That also means no copies of the slides. So there's that. We are not offering any certification vouchers, okay? So there are, however, if you search the internet and go on AWS's website, there might be a Get Certified challenge that you can join at some point, but we will not be issuing anything from this webinar. If you are unavailable for the entire session, you can check out the future events, and we'll make sure that we can get that link in the chat for you. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. Future events link is in the chat, so go ahead and check that out. If you aren't able to attend the entire webinar, not a problem at all. Come and go as you need to. We do not offer a certificate of attendance for attending the webinar, but you can actually take the knowledge and hopefully go back and pass your exam, and then that is your certificate of, you know what, it's better than that. I'm going to go ahead and say it's better than that. You do receive a certificate of attendance for the Cloud Practitioner Essentials Day or a Technical Essentials Day if you do complete that course, but not for the webinar today. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our very first section. In this course, we are going to discuss the different domains of the Cloud Practitioner Certification Exam. So Domain 1, Cloud Concepts. Domain 2, Security and Compliance. Domain 3, AWS Technology. And last but not least, Domain 4, Billing and Pricing. Okay, Billing and Pricing. The learning goals of this is to assess your readiness for the exam and to structure your studies as you continue moving toward taking the exam. For those who are working on working toward your exam, let me know in the question section. Have you already scheduled your exam? Let us know when. When have you scheduled your exam? If you haven't, my question for you is why? Just get out there and schedule it. You can always reschedule it. That's not a problem at all. All right. Domain 1, Cloud Concepts. In this domain, we're going to cover Domain 1.1, Benefits of the AWS Cloud. Domain 1.2, Aspects of AWS Cloud Economics. Domain 1.3, Cloud Architecture Design Principles. Our very first domain or subdomain of the domain. I see the responses coming through. One person said in the year 2000. You've been certified for like 22 years already. Congrats. I don't know how to take that. One person said their exam is on Tuesday. Oh my gosh, I'm getting distracted over here. Good luck, everyone. I wish you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck. All right, you know what? I honestly do. Okay, enough digression. Enough, I digress. Benefits of the AWS Cloud Domain 1.1 introduction. In this section, we are going to really focus on the AWS Cloud and its value proposition. So what does that mean? Well, we start with security services, features, benefits of using AWS. We have AWS benefits in the area of high availability. So there's availability zones and regions and the global infrastructure and all of that. It all comes back to high availability and the benefits that you can actually accomplish by using AWS. So for the AWS value proposition, you should understand how to shift from on-prem infrastructure management and how to optimize resources in the AWS cloud. Domain 1.1 question walkthrough. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So the first thing is to read the stem, the section of the question that is the most important area of the question. There are certain areas of the question where they might be there to distract you, I'll say. You want to identify keywords and read the responses, the options that you have. So there's the question and the response options. We'll take a look at a question here pretty soon. You want to identify the key, what that might be. What is the key to unlock the question, okay? Now here we have this thing known as the stem, the stem. The stem is defined as the ability to horizontally scale Amazon EC2 instances based on demand is an example of which concept in the AWS Cloud value proposition. So the keywords in the stem are the ability to horizontally scale EC2 instances based on demand. This is our focus. And then it is to have the concept in the AWS Cloud value proposition. So let's keep all of that in mind and take a look at some response options. Do me a huge favor and use the question section to respond and think which one might be right for you. Which one is the correct answer here? So the ability to horizontally scale Amazon EC2 instances based on demand is an example of which concept? Is it economy of scale, elasticity, high availability, or agility? I'll give you about 20 seconds. I'm seeing a lot of B, elasticity. I see some people are saying economy of scale or maybe high availability, but nothing around agility. Oh, there's one person who said agility, but the majority think elasticity, and that's exactly it. You are using elasticity to maintain an elastic infrastructure. So you're scaling horizontally. So you're using something that's known as an auto-scaling group to scale based on capacity change to add more of the same resources, more EC2 instances that are the same type and size. And there you go. So great job, everyone. Congratulations. Round of applause for each of you. All right, up next, Domain 1.2, Introduction, Aspects of AWS Cloud Economics. So there's this thing known as the total cost of ownership, or a TCO. We're going to cover the concepts here: operational expenses, or otherwise known as OpEx, capital expenses, otherwise known as CapEx, labor costs associated with on-prem operations. On-prem operations. Say that 10 times fast. The impact of software licensing costs. I see one question. Where are we supposed to respond to these questions? In the comment? No, you can respond to the questions in the question section. I know, questionception? Sure, let's go with that. All right, key concepts to remember when you're going through this, when you're working with your OpEx, day-to-day costs to your organization, such as services and items that get used up. CapEx, this is defined as costs associated with creating the longer-term benefits. Labor costs, costs incurred in order to handle on-prem operations. And then last but not least, impact of software licensing costs. And you have to determine how might software licenses that you're currently using be affected by a move to the cloud. There are licenses that are specified as being on-prem only and licenses that you can use in cloud-based infrastructures. So have that conversation with a licensed vendor before you make that migration preparation conversation. Okay, 1.2. Let's go ahead and jump into a question here. Which on-prem expense will be reduced if the company migrates their application to Amazon EC2? This is the stem of the question. The key words we're focusing on are which on-prem expense will be reduced if the company migrates their application to Amazon EC2. So the stem and keywords are pretty similar. Let's take a look at some response options here. So server hardware costs, Amazon EBS storage costs, storage backup costs, or cost of transferring data out to the internet. I'll give you about 20 seconds. All right, so I'm seeing some response options come through, and I'm seeing mostly A, server hardware costs, and you are absolutely correct. Let's go ahead and jump over to domain 1.3. So we're still in our initial domain, but we're going to wrap it up here with cloud architecture design principles. So the introduction of this. Now, let's go ahead and say there's 4 design phases, and each design phase and principle will focus on design for failure, because our CTO, Dr. Werner Vogel, says everything fails all the time, so we have to keep that in mind. So think back to the last time you tried to access something and it wasn't available for you. There was a failure somewhere. Just keep that in mind. You don't want your customers to go through the same thing. We have monolithic architectures versus decoupled architectures. So tightly coupled versus decoupled architectures. Anti-patterns, for example. So we don't want to do those anti-patterns. That's a monolithic architecture. The third section here, the third principle, is around implementing elasticity in the cloud versus on-prem. And last but not least, think in parallel. So when you're designing for failure, you're designing across multiple availability zones with resiliency, okay, with resiliency. When we are thinking about this anti-pattern of a monolithic architecture or application, we want to decouple that and make it more API-driven, make it more service-based driven, or even event-driven architecture. That's a really good way to think about it as well. When you're decoupling the architecture, you actually let your components start to operate independently. A monolithic architecture is tightly coupled. Everything is written directly into it. Maybe you have one EC2 instance that has all of your binaries and libraries and database directly on it, and then you have to scale that out, and everything's really tight. But if you start to take the database off the EC2 instance, for example, we can see now we had this looser coupled, but we can do better, okay? We can actually start to say, hey, now let's start to scale, and our infrastructure is scaling as our capacity changes, and we are reading and writing from a database. But everything fails all the time. We're seeing one database here. We can actually add a second one. But the biggest thing is scale to meet your demand and also scale back in. So there's a question in the chat. Do auto-scaling groups also scale in? Yes, they do. They scale out to meet capacity changes as you have growth, and they also scale down when you no longer need that same capacity. So think in parallel. Look at how you can divide these different tasks from this monolithic architecture more into an independent but simultaneous running operation, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at a question here. Question walkthrough. What is a STEM? Which of the following is an AWS Cloud Architecture Design Principle? And this entire thing is also the keyword, okay? So keyword here, which of the following is an AWS Cloud Architecture Design Principle? It's pretty straightforward. The STEM and keyword are the same here. Here are your response options, A, B, C, or D. Go ahead and use the question section here. And I'll give you about 20 seconds. I see one person saying, I'm going to crush this exam. I hope you crush it. You get out there and you crush it. Crush that exam. Crush it real hard. There you go. You're going to do great. See, a lot of people are saying B, 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 and B. Oh, so many Bs. One person said D. I'm going to presume you meant B because, they sound so similar. All right, B is correct. Implement loose coupling. That is a design principle. So which on-prem expense will be reduced if the company migrates their application to EC2? There you go. That's the overall thing here. Cloud concepts. Domain 1 is closed. Let's go ahead and jump into domain number 2 here. So domain number 2, we have the ability for us to focus on 4 main sections. We're going to discuss the shared responsibility model, cloud and compliance concepts, access management capabilities, resources for security support. The very first section is the shared responsibility model. This has to do with what you are responsible for and what we are responsible for. So AWS is responsible for security of the cloud. You are responsible for security in the cloud, which means we are responsible for the physical security, providing global infrastructure, providing resources for you in the different regions, providing regions to you. We have 27 regions, and we actually just launched the, UAE a few weeks ago. We announced one that's coming out in Thailand in 2024, so that's really cool. We just announced that one, I want to say 2 days ago. Someone help me out. Brandon, Darren, Jose, let me know. Drop a link in the chat for everyone. When did we announce the Thailand region and for 2024? Drop a link in the chat, please. We have the shared responsibility model for the customers. You are responsible for client-side data encryption, server-side data encryption configuration, networking configuration, firewall configuration. You're responsible for all of that, operating system updates, network and firewall details, and who has access to your data. You are responsible for your customer data. And the customer responsibility is going to change and vary based on the service, because some services require more overhead for you. So example, if you have an EC2 instance, and if you have a database running on that EC2 instance, you are responsible for the EC2 instance operating system maintenance, updates and security patches and so forth. And if you have a database running on it, you're also responsible for backups and overall encryption and so forth from that. But if you use something like RDS, which is more managed, then you are responsible for the configuration, where those RDS databases are launched, in which subnets and so forth. If you go down the serverless path, we can see DynamoDB. You're responsible for the encryption keys that are used for DynamoDB. You're responsible for who has access to the table and the items in the table. If you have a Lambda function, you're responsible for what can invoke or trigger that Lambda function. You're responsible for configuring that. You're responsible for the role that the Lambda function can use. So that's all your responsibility. But let's go ahead and take a look at a question. All right. Which of the following is a customer's responsibility under the AWS shared responsibility model? We're focusing on the customer's responsibility here. That's the key word in this entire STEM. Is it A, patching underlying infrastructure, B, physical security, C, patching Amazon EC2 instances, or D, patching network infrastructure? I'm seeing a lot of C come through. You know what? Crushing it. There you go. Keep going. Patching EC2 instances, the security patches, operating system updates, that is a customer's responsibility. So keep that in mind. The shared responsibility model means that we are responsible for the physical security. We are responsible for providing services to you. You are responsible for all the configuration and any updates and so forth, especially when it comes to an EC2 instance. All right. Domain 2.2, cloud security and compliance concepts. The number one question is, where can I find compliance information? So the first thing you should know about compliance is on AWS is where to find that compliance information. So if you're building a solution on AWS that requires a compliance status with the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, if you know what that is, it's GDPR, okay? And you want to use Amazon DynamoDB to store data, how do you know if DynamoDB is GDPR compliant? Well, you can actually get reports about that, and we can share a link with you in the chat. Artifact is actually one of those compliance reports type systems. So let me do this. Artifact, I can do that. I can get it to you. Okay, boo, 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 boo. And there you go, link in the chat. Amazon Artifact is your go-to central resource for compliance-related information that matters to you. Perfect. So how can you archive compliance and security on AWS? Well, let's check a question, and we'll kind of walk through this. The stem of this question is, which service enables risk auditing by continuously monitoring and logging account activity, including user actions in the AWS Management Console and SDKs? This is the stem. The keywords we're focusing on is auditing, continuously monitoring and logging, and within the console and the SDKs. So let's focus on our questions here. We are looking at continuously monitoring and logging account activity. Which of these services helps us do that? I'm seeing a couple response options come through so far. I see one person actually typed the entire word, the entire response option. So not even typing A, B, C, or D. They just typed the whole thing. You know what? You still got it right. For the person who did that, you know who you are. You still got it right. So yeah. And one person is saying, why don't I see the responses of the people? Well, you know, that doesn't help you think. So no, we are not hurting. No, not today. Not today. But you know what we are going to do? We're going to show you the response option. It is B in this case. So we're thinking monitoring and logging account activity, the user actions, the API calls that are made from the management console and the SDKs. CloudTrail is that service that can do it for you. I'm seeing a lot of teetering between A and B here. So CloudWatch, think visualizing, creating dashboards, using some metrics to trigger alerts about something that might have happened. CloudTrail is your audit trail, okay? So there you go. There you go. All right. Config and health, do an internet search on these two if you don't know what they are, all right? We're going to go ahead and talk about access management capabilities, domain 2.3. User and identity management, you can use IAM, identity and access management. Now keep in mind this is going to be around the authentication and authorization type stuff. So IAM will be responsible for what someone can do. Users, groups, and roles, what permissions they're allowed or not allowed to perform, what type of actions, and then the authentication is going to be done through our security token service. That's going to be around, let's say, like passing the tokens and getting, you know, who are you? I am Aaron. Okay, well, what can Aaron do? That's IAM. I'm going to have a policy. So let's take a look at a question here. So we're going to focus on an S3 bucket. Which of the following can limit Amazon Simple Storage Service or Amazon S3 bucket access to specific users? This is the stem. The entire question is a stem here. The keywords we're focusing on is limiting S3 bucket access. That's it. Focus on that. How do you limit S3 bucket access? Is it going to be A, B, C, or D? I'll give you about 20 seconds. Seeing a lot of C's starting to roll through, a lot of C's. So we have public and private key pair, Amazon Inspector, Amazon IAM policies, or security groups. And all who are saying C, 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 for those who are tu habla español, C. The correct answer is C. All right, great job, everyone. Great job. You know what? Round of applause for each of you. Go ahead and type clap. Type clap. Do it. Round of applause. Type applause if you want to type applause. Let's pause for a second and congratulate each of you for getting this correct. Okay. I see some people are using emojis. Let me do that. Clap. Okay, I can. Oh, that did not come through. It was a box. But Brandon said golf clap. All right, great job, everyone. Okay, let's go ahead and move over to our resources for Security 4, security support, domain 2.4. You have network security, security groups. This is going to be a security group around a resource or an elastic network interface. You have network access control lists or network ACLs. These are going to be around a subnet, so helping to basically create a fence around all the resources in that subnet. And then you have AWS WAF, which is our web application firewall, and this also helps with network security. This is a component. It's a layer 7 firewall. You can think about it that way to help your application. We also have Amazon Inspector, Trusted Advisor, Amazon CloudWatch, AWS Config, and we saw Config in one of our previous response options. So Config is, think of it as a way to take snapshots. What was the bucket policy for an S3 bucket? What was the policy yesterday or last week? Did anything change? What were the changes? And then you can actually remediate and fix those changes. Inspector is going to take a magnifying glass and start to take a look at what's actually being done. What is the impact? And then it will alert you and say, hey, go dig into this a little bit deeper. CloudWatch, we talked about that with visualization and monitoring and metrics. And then Trusted Advisor is a support service that is there to say, hey, here's some cost recommendations or security recommendations. It is an advisor in your account. If you need to, you can also go into some third-party software and tools. So we have the AWS Marketplace and we have trusted vendors. But let's go ahead and jump into a question for resources for security support. Our very first question here is, which AWS service or feature can be used to prevent SQL injection attacks? All right, so which one can be used to help prevent SQL injection attacks? We're focusing on the preventing attacks section of the question. We have 4 options here. One person already thinks they know the answer, and I'm going to tell you, you are correct. You already know, without even showing the response options, you're already thinking in the right way. Okay, perfect. We have security-focused people here. You know what? Security is top priority at AWS, so I appreciate everyone thinking that already. All right, A, B, C, or D. I'm seeing a lot of people saying D. Nope, it's not D. It's not D. I'm going to strike that one through. Let's see if my pen is working today. Oh, that is not what I wanted to have happen. I wanted something else to happen. I wanted let's see, can I get this to work? No, oh my gosh, it's a red dot. Oh no, I lost my PowerPoint. Let's bring that back. There we are. Got it back. All right. So we have C is the correct answer. C is correct. Great job, everyone. Great job. And for those who got a sneak peek of my background, you're welcome. I love you 3000 as well. I see that comment. Security and compliance is come to a close. Let's go ahead and jump directly over to our next domain, which is AWS technology. AWS technology. All right. Domain 3, we are going to cover methods of deploying and operating, the global infrastructure, core services, and resources for technology support. Resources for technology support. Seeing a couple questions here. Seeing a few questions here. You know what? Let me come back. I'm going to do a midstream intro. If you just joined, if you're a little bit late, what's up, everyone? How's it going? My name's Aaron Hunter. I'm a senior technical trainer with Amazon Web Services. As a reminder, the sessions are recorded for training quality purposes and will not be shared. There are no books, no labs, no handouts, and nothing that we can give you other than knowledge. We can give you a lot of knowledge, okay? So keep that in mind. If you are interested in getting a certification voucher, you are not in the right place. We are not offering those to you. And if you aren't able to attend the entire session, or if you missed some of the session earlier, please know that we offer AWS training and certification events, and we have a link that we can share with you in the chat. There you go. It's a very pretty link. It's a very beautiful link. Go ahead and check it out. Okay, you can copy and paste that. You can use the community if you wanted to. Go ahead and type your question in the chat, or not in the chat, in the question section. Response options for any of the domain questions that we have, you can go ahead and put those in the question section as well. I see one person saying, what's up? And I will say right back to you, what's up, Raj? How's it going? Raj Metz, I see you. I see you there. Let's see what someone else saying, yeet. Nice. All right, students do receive, so if you're viewing the webinar live right now, you do receive a certificate of attendance if you complete these Cloud Practitioner Essentials Day. Okay, that is not today's webinar. So go sign up for the Cloud Practitioner Essentials Day or a Technical Essentials Day, and then you can receive a certificate of attendance for that, but you do not receive anything today from the webinar. So thank you for being here. Round of applause to each of you for being here. Let's go ahead and jump into domain 3's first subdomain, deploying and operating, and the methods that are within that. All right, so we have a couple different methods here. Application programming interfaces, APIs. Everything's an API at the end of the day, all right? Hold on. One person saying, can you say my name so I can be more motivated? You know what? Khaled, I see you. I see you over there. I see you. You can do it. Muscle up, buddy. Muscle up. You got this. All right, so APIs and software development kits or SDKs. We have command line interface, AWS CLI. We have the management console, and we have IAC, and infrastructure as code. So cloud formation, think about it that way. Let's see. One person said I should be working, but you're here. You know what? You're working on knowledge. You are working on knowledge. So sweet. All right. Up next, cloud development or cloud deployment models, cloud native or all in with the cloud. That means we have refactored your applications, re-architected your entire environment, and all of that. And we have hybrid. So that means you're kind of doing a mix between on-prem and cloud, or you only have on-prem. These are the 3 different deployment models. I see a few questions coming in. You know what? I'll get back to those, I promise. We will have time for questions. I will reserve time for you, okay? Is the SDK free? It is. We avail it to you. Hey, Brandon, Darian, or Jose, can you drop a link in the chat for the SDK and where they can get that, please? Thank you. All right, connectivity options. How do you connect to AWS? We have VPN gateway, direct connect, or internet gateways. I'm losing focus over here, everyone. You want me to say your names? That's fine. I'll say a random name, Anthony. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at a question. Now that we know the deployment models and we also see the different connectivity options, let's walk through the methods of deploying and operating. The question, the STEM, which components are required to build a successful site-to-site VPN connection on AWS? Keep in mind, this question has 2 correct options. The keywords that we're going to focus on are the components required for a site-to-site VPN connection. Which 2 components are required for a site-to-site VPN connection? This is an exam readiness. We're not here to teach the entire technology to you, but we can give you resources for you to go research on your own after this. This is just to kind of maybe help you assess your readiness, okay? I'll give you about 20 seconds. Is it A, B, C, D, or E? Choose 2. Choose 2. All right, I see most people agree that it's E, but we're kind of teetering between A and C, internet gateway or a customer gateway. The internet gateway, it seems logical. I'm going to give you that. It seems like, well, you need some kind of access because, yeah, you need that. I'm going to say you would need the internet gateway if you are establishing a VPN connection, but you would effectively do it through what's known as a customer gateway. Both a VPN connection and a direct connect connection is going to use a customer gateway, but the technical term of what it is that you're actually connecting to is the customer gateway. So customer gateway is going to be on your end, and then the virtual private gateway is going to be on the AWS end. So it is not A and E. In fact, it is C and E. So if you typed CE, give yourself a pat on the back. If you typed A and E, I will also say give yourself a pat on the back because you did a great job at least attempting the question. So there you go. Now keep in mind, exam tip for you. Exam tip number 1. If you see a question that says select 2, if you only select 1, the question is incorrect. You do not get points for it. If you select 2 and you select, let's say for those who said A and E, if you select A and E, then E is not going to give you partial credit. That means you get the entire question incorrect. So there's that. The second section of this domain is going to be under global infrastructure. So we talked about the shared responsibility model, regions, availability zones, and that is all built within the global infrastructure. We have 27 regions, multiple availability zones, at least 3 availability zones per region, and we have edge locations. There's over 410 points of presence in edge locations. So really cool to be able to see the growth and the pace. So really, really, really cool. I remember when I joined, there were only a handful. When I joined back in 2015, there were a handful of regions. Now we have 27. Wow. I can only imagine what we're going to do in the next year or 2. All right. Question for 3.2, the stem of the question. Which aspects of the AWS infrastructure enables global deployment of compute and storage? We're focusing on pretty much the entire thing here. So the key words, the aspect of the AWS infrastructure enables global deployment of compute and storage. So when you're thinking global deployment, what is deployed around the world? Okay. I'll give you a hint. There are 27 of them. That's my only hint I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to answer this question. See, a lot of people are typing A and B. Okay, A and B is kind of where we're at right now. I will tell you the correct answer is B because a region is going to be located somewhere around the world. We have 27 regions that are located around the world. The availability zones are located within the region. So if you wanted to have global deployment of compute and storage, you would select a different region, multiple regions, okay? Multiple availability zones helps you with high availability. Okay, if you want global deployment, you're looking at different regions. All right, core services. So again, with a shared responsibility model, AWS is responsible for security of the cloud, and we are responsible for providing compute, storage, networking, and databases to each of those regions for your availability. Okay, these are the core services. Compute services are services like EC2, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon Elastic or AWS Elastic Beanstalk, Amazon Elastic Container Service or Amazon ECS, and then also AWS Lambda. These are all considered compute services. We also have storage like Amazon Elastic Block Store. You use those with EC2 instances. Amazon Simple Storage Services, Amazon S3. We have Amazon Elastic File System, Amazon EFS. If you ever say Amazon EFS File System, that's fine as well. It's the same thing like saying NIC card or PIN number. I mean, if you just triggered yourself, I'm sorry. And we also have Amazon Simple Storage Service Glacier, so Amazon S3 Glacier, which has to do with vaults and archives. Okay, that's different than the S3 storage class of Glacier. Just want to call that out. We also have networking services. So you have a virtual private cloud or Amazon VPC. We have Route 53, it's our DNS service. We have AWS Direct Connect. We have AWS Transit Gateway. That's a way for you to connect different VPCs across different regions and accounts. And you can even do Transit Gateway Connect and all that different type of stuff. So yeah, and I see there's one comment, fast overview. Yeah, this is more exam readiness. If you have questions, let us know. We can give you resources to go back. We also have classes that teach about this over 3 days. We have 2 hours to cover all of this, okay? So we're gonna do our best to cover as much as possible. Plus, I want to make sure that I reserved time for you to ask questions at the end. I will come back to that. All right, database services. We have Amazon Relational Database Service, Amazon RDS. If you need a structured strict schema, you're probably going to be looking at RDS. If you don't need a structured strict schema, like a NoSQL database, you're going to be looking at Amazon DynamoDB. We also have Amazon Aurora, which now offers a serverless option. We have Amazon Neptune. We have other database options like TimeStream, for example. So there's that. Let's take a look at one question. One question. Which AWS service can most efficiently import exabytes of data to the AWS cloud from an on-prem environment? We're looking at how we can do this most efficiently, okay? Most efficiently exporting, or rather importing, exabytes of data from an on-prem environment. Which of these options is correct? I'll give you about 20 seconds here. I'm seeing a lot of teetering questions. We're kind of all over the place here. So we have Snowmobile, Storage Gateway, Snowball, and Direct Connect. Exabytes of data. That's a lot of data. That's a lot of data. If you know how much of data an exabyte is, that's impressive. So for those who said Snowball, that is actually not correct. So Snowball, you can do petabytes of data through multiple Snowballs, but if you need exabytes of data, you're going to need a bigger box. So Snowmobile is that bigger box for you. And if you're wondering about a bigger box, let me see. There we go. Okay. I have a YouTube link that I'm going to share with you. So Andy Jassy talks about Snowball and needing, doing petabytes of storage transfer from on-prem into AWS. You're importing it. But if you need exabytes of data, you're going to need a bigger box. Andy Jassy literally had an 18-wheeler, a truck, drive onto the stage at reInvent. A link is in the chat. Go watch that. There you go. Snowmobile, going to need a bigger box. Exabytes of data. Let's go ahead and jump into technology support. So in this area, we have documentation, account-specific support, the AWS Partner Network, or APN. We have AWS Trusted Advisor. So let's jump into a question here. Which AWS support plan provides access to architectural and operational reviews, as well as 24/7 access to senior cloud support engineers through email, online chat, and phone? We're focusing on the specific support plan, architectural and operational reviews, and specifically 24 access to senior cloud support engineers through all means of communication, email, chat, and phone. There are 4 different support plans here. We have basic, business, developer, and enterprise. We're focusing on the ability for people to get access to senior cloud support engineers. Which one of these is correct? I'm seeing a lot of people saying D, 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 D. In that case, enterprise is correct, okay? Let's go ahead and jump over to our 4th domain, 4th and final domain. So we're closing out domain 3. A couple of different things to be aware of, though, is how do I manage the various components? Where are my end users? And what tools and services should I use? So be aware of this as you continue to think about the questions. So be aware of that when you continue moving forward. All right, domain number 4, billing and pricing. In this domain, we're going to talk about pricing models for AWS, account structures with AWS billing and pricing, and then resources available for billing support. Resources available for billing support. Okay, so the different pricing models we have: on-demand instances, reserved instances, savings plans, and Amazon EC2 spot instances. If you first launch a had to mute my phone or my microphone there real quick. If you first launch an instance and you do not select a pricing option, if you have not prepaid for the pricing options like reserved instances or savings plans, then you're going to launch what's known as an on-demand instance. Reserved instances or RIs and savings plans, they both have their right time and right place. If you know the baseline of what your overall performance is going to be for 1 year, 3 years, probably go reserved instances if you know exactly what the type of instance. If you aren't sure and you need more flexibility, you're going to go with savings plans. If you have a spike in your workload, and if you have properly decoupled your infrastructure, you might be able to take advantage of spot instances, which is the highest savings for you. Okay, most times customers go with on-demand, a mix of all of it actually. So it depends on the overall question, the scenario. So let's see. On-demand instance pricing model is the most flexible pricing option, but it costs more than other pricing options. There's no time commitment. You launch an instance, you terminate the instance, you start, you stop it, you pay for the running time. Reserved instance has a discount of up to 72% and requires a commitment of 1 or 3 years. It's not mixed match. It's not 2 years. It's not 1.5 years. It says 1 year or 3 years. You commit to that. Savings plans offer up to 72%, but you have also the same thing with flexibility, okay? So you have flexibility for savings plans, and you have requirements of 1 or 3 years. And we also have spot instances. It can help you save up to 90%, but be aware that spot instances are discounted because it is additional capacity that we can provide to you at a lesser amount, okay? So just be aware that if you do have a workload that cannot be interrupted, spot instances are not for you. Keep that one thing in mind. All right, let's jump into a question here for domain 4.1, pricing models. A company has an application that only needs to run for 2 hours at any time during a day. Which Amazon EC2 instance type will be most cost-effective for this application? We're focusing on the application needs to run for 2 hours at any time during a day, and we're looking for the most cost-effective EC2 instance type. Is it going to be a dedicated instance, on-demand instance, reserved instance, or a spot instance? Seeing a lot of D's around spot, and you know what? If you're thinking about cost efficiency and also these short run times of 2 hours, spot is probably going to be the right choice for you. Now, if you see a question on the exam that says the workload cannot be interrupted, spot is not going to be correct, okay? I'm not telling you the question from the exam. I'm just saying that is a scenario to be aware of. That's all. All right. Account structures with billing and pricing. For this domain, you should know how to recognize the different billing and pricing account structures, use multiple accounts, track costs by project, team, or department. I'm going to give you a hint there. It's known as tags. Consolidate bills to one parent account, and then use different billing features via AWS organizations. So the first question here for this domain is going to be, how can Amazon EC2 reserved instances be shared across multiple accounts? And the key thing that I want you to focus on is sharing resources across multiple accounts. Is it A, B, C, or D? I'll give you 20 seconds. All right, I'm seeing a lot of B's come through, B, 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 see a couple A's and C's, but you know what? The majority of us are thinking organizations consolidated billing. So this is going to be where we can share specifically, we're focusing on the organization section of this, okay? There's also something known as Resource Access Manager that I want you to be aware of. So if you want to share a resource across multiple accounts, Resource Access Manager might be that option, but we're focusing on reserved instances from a pricing standpoint for multiple accounts. So organizations, multiple accounts, consolidated billing, pricing, merging those two things together. That's why B is correct here. All right, now let's go ahead and jump into domain 4.3, resources available for billing support. Okay, let's go ahead and say, hey, we have this thing known as Cost Explorer where we can jump in and understand our cost. How is it broken up by a service or account or a region? And overall spend. We can take a look at Cost Explorer from a graphing standpoint. Very pretty metrics and graphs. I know everyone loves pretty metrics. Pie charts? Nah, bar charts. Bar charts is the way to go. Actually, you know what? Type your favorite type of chart in the chat. Is it pie? Bar? Is it donut? I like donuts. Yum. I like pie too. It's PSL season. Pumpkin spice latte? Nah, pie spice latte. Pie spice latte. I like pies too. We also have cost and usage report. So we can jump into this is otherwise known as a CUR, so a CUR. The cost and usage reports are available for us to have a better understanding of what's happening with our resources, how our spend is being provided to us, or rather how we are spending. I see one person saying, I like bar, chocolate bar. Praveen, I see you over there. And then I see one person, so Jeff is saying bar, but everyone loves pie, P-I. I see you did there, 3.14, right back at you. All right. So we also have QuickSight to help visualize. QuickSight is a real good BI tool directly provided by Amazon. So it's one of our services. And if you need some more customization about anything, Marketplace. So jump into the Marketplace and see what options are out there. There's a lot of really great partners and third-party resources and tools that you have available to you. Otherwise, resources available for billing support. Let's jump into one of our questions. I have one person saying, I think the audio went out. Let me spot check. If you can hear me, type a smiley face in the chat. I want to make sure. Type a smiley face in the question box. I see smiley faces. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I sent that person a message, so hopefully they can drop and come back. That's a pro tip for you. Okay, pro tip for each of you. If there's any kind of audio issues or video issues, drop and come back. All right, no problems at all. Everyone's saying smiley faces, no issues. They can hear me. They can hear me. Smiley, LOL. You literally type smiley. Come on. Okay, domain 4.3. This question here says, which AWS service or feature allows a company to visualize, understand, and manage AWS costs and usage over time? This is the STEM. Everything here is also the keyword. So we're going to focus on the entire thing. Which service or feature allows a company to visualize, understand, and manage costs and usage over time? And don't worry, everyone. There's going to be plenty of time for questions after we're all done here, okay? Plenty of time for questions. I see the questions coming through. I see some questions are directed specifically at me. You know what? I love that. I love that. I can't wait to answer your questions. Speaking of questions, let's go ahead and see which one is the right answer for this question. Cost Explorer. If you said B, I congratulate you because you are correct. We are looking at visualizing to help us understand and manage cost and usage over time. Cost Explorer can do us for that, or do that for us. Words are so hard this morning. I need more coffee, or tea, or juice, whatever. You tell me what you prefer. And yeah, so if we are going to take a look at bar or pie charts, we talked about that just now, didn't we? Everyone told me what's your preferred option. Bar, but everyone likes pie. Yes. All right, Cost Explorer can help you do that. Billing and pricing is done. And you know what else is done? This training. So that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. You made it through every single one of our domains. As a recap, in this course, we covered domain 1, cloud concepts, domain 2, security compliance, domain 3, AWS technology, domain 4, billing and pricing. And the overall learning goals was to help you assess your readiness for the exam, structure your studies, identify the different types of questions and how we can take a look at those questions. So let's go ahead and jump into a Q&A session. All right. Let me scroll up. Give me a second. You know what? Go ahead and type your questions in the chat, and I will come back to them. If you just joined us or if you came a little bit late, as a reminder, sessions are recorded for training quality purposes only and will not be shared. There are no books, no labs, no handouts, no takeaway materials, and no copies of the slides that we can provide to you. We are not offering any free certification exam vouchers through this training. If you are unable to attend for the entire session, if you came a little bit late, then you can always jump into the, I'm going to drop a link in the chat here for you. You can always jump into our training certification event page to find a training session that best suits you for your time. You can receive a certification of attendance if you attend the Cloud Practitioner Essentials Day or the Technical Essentials Day only. Okay, we do not provide a certificate of attendance for attending this webinar. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the questions on my end. Give me a second to do that. There are a lot of questions. This is great. I love this. Okay. Sending a presentation deck. Nope, we're not sending the presentation deck. I see some people from Brazil, Austin. Hey, no, I didn't even tell you where I'm from. I'm from Frisco, Texas, just north of Dallas. You know where that is? Let me know. Okay, so one person said, when I try to schedule my exam, they're warning there are multiple versions. So that's going to be for if there's a beta exam, we do offer that out to you. And it's going to say that there might be a previous exam like SAA CO2 that might be available for a short period of time. But now we have SAA CO3. That's our Solutions Architect Associate. It's the third and latest version. So I recommend taking the latest version if you're able to. Okay. One person is saying, first time attending a course, finish a self-learning from Skill Builder and Cloud Practitioner Essentials. They want to know how to start if there are any hands-on labs. Yeah, you know what? We do. So Darren answered that one already, but I wanted to read it out to everyone. So the wellarchitectedlabs.com, and you can go there from, let me actually pull it up. Give me a second. Wellarchitectedlabs.com. I'm going to drop that link in the chat. And then workshops.aws is another one. And keep in mind that both of these will be done from your own account. So they are not labs that are provided to you. They are guides that can help you launch the workshop in your own account. So any cost associated with running those will come out of your own pocket. I really want to make sure that I cover that. Okay. All right, going all the way back down. One person saying that I'm right next to Plano. Yeah. One person said, I know where Dallas is. That's good. I mean, if you don't know where Dallas is, then you can search the internet on where it might be in comparison to you. One person said they're moving to Frisco next month. Well, what's up? How's it going, neighbor? One person just said, just moved to Frisco off of Main near Prosper. Hey, how's it? Oh my gosh, so many people in Frisco. It's so cool. All right. One person said you're in Rockwood. Oh, that's so awesome. So awesome. So many people. You know what? I'm not ashamed. I'll do this. I'll do this. I will share my socials. There you go. There's a link to my LinkedIn in the chat. I want to connect with all of you. This is amazing. So one person said, which services or features support data replication across regions? All right, so I'm going to say that answer depends. It depends on what kind of data. Is it database data? Then you might be able to use maybe a managed service. You might be able to have the right database service to be able to say async database replication across different regions. DynamoDB has something built into it known as global tables, so that could be an option for you. If you're using Amazon S3, you can use cross-region replication, so there's that too. So I'm going to say it depends on the service. All right. One person said the y'all gave it away at the beginning. I've actually only been in Texas for like 7 years. I'm from California. The y'all for me is forced. One person saying, can I share a link that describes the different gateways that were listed in the questions? Yeah, not a problem. So we talked about like internet gateway and customer gateway and virtual private gateway. Not a problem at all. Internet, so IGW, CGW, and VGW. So IGW is internet gateway. And here's a link in the chat for that one. Send all. And then the customer gateway device. This is also another one. Let's see if I can get that. It's not going to describe all of them, but it'll do a pretty good job. Associating a virtual private gateway across multiple accounts. And this is not directly related, but it's indirectly related, and it'll kind of get you close enough. All right, so that is pretty much it for that. It also, so the third link that I sent is for Direct Connect, associating virtual private gateways. The second link is for site-to-site VPN. So that also covers both Direct Connect and site-to-site VPN connectivity options for you. All right. One person saying, we're going to have 1.5 hours of Q&A. You see the session goes for another 1.5 hours? No. So the session itself is planned for 2.5 hours in total, but we're not going to spend the next hour and a half with questions. Okay, so we'll spend maybe another half hour or so in questions. Let me actually respond to that. I'm going to go ahead and say another 30 minutes-ish because, yeah. All right, let me see. So practice exams or books or simulator, we answered that one already. What is the difference between RDS and Aurora? Depends on the different type of database. So RDS has multiple engines. RDS in itself is a managed database that has different engine types. There are 6 different engines. One of those actually is Aurora. So there you go. Aurora is a service, but it's also a database engine type that you can launch within RDS. So let me actually pull that up for you. RDS engine, oh, I can't spell, engine types, okay. Database instance classes, that's not what I want. I want fully managed relational database. Okay, so we have the different type of engine options. Amazon Aurora with MySQL compatibility, Amazon Aurora with PostgreSQL compatibility, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and SQL Server. So if you want to know more about RDS, which also includes Aurora, that link is in the chat for you. Okay, if AWS Cost Explorer, what is the name of the tool that does estimates? You can also use Cost Explorer. You can use Cost Explorer for predictions. It can take a look at your predicted spend through Cost Explorer, and you can get alerts. So it's the same tool. Where can we go about getting better at questions to judge the best option for more scenario in terms of cost? Well, if you wanted to go through, let's actually do this. Do Cloud Practitioner. Okay, and I'll pull this up in the link or in the chat, in the view for you. Here you go. Oh, shoot, what is going on? How do I get rid of that? Give me a second. I need to get rid of this drawing tools menu. Normal non-drawing mode. Okay, got it. Okay, so here we have the cloud, or the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. I'm going to go ahead and drop this link in the chat for each of you. And what we're looking at is the ability for you to get some information about the exam. So how long is it? 90 minutes. How much does it cost? $100 US. How long do you have? Like I mentioned, an hour and a half, but how many questions? 65. 65 questions. Note, the last day for candidates to complete an exam appointment through PSI is December 31st, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. UTC. UTC. We also have Pearson VUE. So starting January 1st, 2023, all AWS certification exams will be delivered through Pearson VUE. What I'm showing you here is the exam guide and also some sample questions. I'm going to open these up in new tabs for you. So the exam guide, let me zoom into this a bit. The exam guide is intended for individuals who can effectively demonstrate an overall knowledge of the AWS Cloud independent of a specific job role. And it gives you a breakdown of your recommended knowledge and what is considered out of scope. It gives you a breakdown of the exam content, what is unscored content. So I mentioned there are 65 questions. 15 of those are unscored questions that do not affect your score. You do not know which ones those are. So treat all 65 questions that might be impacting your score. Okay, you have the exam outline, including the domains. We just talked about each of these domains. The domain that will impact your score the most is technology at 33%, and then cloud concepts at 26%, security and compliance at 25%, and then last but not least, domain 4, billing and pricing at 16%. A grand total of 100% if you carry the one correctly. If you want to know exactly what's covered or a better idea of what's covered with each domain, it's all broken down for you. Domain 1.1, define the AWS Cloud and its value proposition. We covered each of these with some sample questions today. We have 1.2, 1.3, and you can kind of get the idea. If you want to get a different idea of which services are provided on the exam or might be covered on the exam, scroll all the way down to the very bottom, and the appendix will say which key tools, technologies, and concepts might be covered on the exam. This is all available to you. I'm not giving you any sneak peek of anything secret. This is no secret sauce, okay? We're doing our best to try to give you as much as possible to help you with your overall preparedness. Okay, so we can do that, and we see which services broken down by domain or category. Analytics, we have Amazon Athena, Amazon Kinesis, Amazon QuickSight, your BI tools, that kind of stuff. We have compute services, we have containers, database, developer services. So I would say that's probably a really good place for you to start. We also have the sample questions. So why is AWS more economical than traditional data centers for applications? That's one example question. Go all the way down to the bottom of this page. You can have your answer key. So try to keep yourself honest, and this is a really good way to also baseline what your information, your knowledge is. So I hope that helps. The link to both of those, the exam guide and the sample questions, are on this page here, and this page, the link is in the chat. So I hope that helps answer that question. Some people saying CloudQuest and Skill Builder are great too. Exactly. You can go to CloudQuest, you can go to Skill Builder. CloudQuest has sample questions as well. That's actually a good call out. I love that. Let's go down to the bottom, same page. Prepare for the exam. You have the exam guide. We just pulled that up. The sample questions, we just pulled that up. We also have the official practice question set. This is done through Skill Builder. We have Exam Prep. It's a free digital training, a little bit different than the one that we did today. It's a couple hours long, and it's going to walk through different scenarios, so I highly recommend taking that. Then we also have the exam readiness for the Certified Cloud Practitioner webinar. That's the one that we're doing today. So these two, this one here and this one here, a little bit different from each other. Take both of them. Exhaust your options. Do what you can. If we scroll up here, we can see Skill Builder Prep, official practice exam. So you can get some practice questions there. I think there's about 20 questions or so. And then we have a practice course, but that does require a subscription. And then you'll also have CloudQuest that does require a subscription if you go beyond the Cloud Practitioner quest, okay? So Cloud Practitioner is included, but Solutions Architect, Serverless Developer, Machine Learning Specialist, that's where you can go a little above and beyond. Really fun way to gamify the thing, okay? Let me scroll down, see if there are any new questions. One question, how do I fill the Amazon CloudQuest Cloud Practitioner Edition game prepare someone for the exam? I think all the resources combined will equally help you prepare in their different way. So CloudQuest is really good for gamifying. It's really good for knowledge retention. Today, it's really good for asking questions with a live instructor. And then we also have our on-demand content, so that way you can go and dig a little bit deeper. So really cool for that as well. All right, scrolling through. So one person said, Aaron, as a senior technical trainer, do I manage any AWS resources? Have I had any hands-on experience managing an AWS environment? Yes, I have in the past. But as a senior technical trainer, I manage the resources that I create for my students. So I create environments and I provide those for 3-day long lesson demonstrations. So I manage those environments. One person says you have a great presentation and voice. Should be on national TV. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I wasn't going to do this, but I will. I will for you. And I see it. It's Deborah over there. So thanks for mentioning that. If we go here, let me do this. I'm going to pull it up because this is technically considered a resource for you. So I'll bring it up for you. There is also some live training that happens on Twitch. And right now we have the specialty certification series for all 6 specialty. We have Power Hour Architecting, but let's bring it back to our Cloud Practitioner. So I'm going to go ahead and filter down to Cloud Practitioner. We have Cloud Practitioner series that actually started in September, and it just ended a few weeks ago. We also have one for CloudQuest where we walk through the game and how you can get started on the game, different quests and so forth. So there's a link in the chat to this. Go ahead and make sure to select on-demand shows and then filter by practitioner, and that way you can find the details. Or you can actually filter by fundamental if you want to. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because Deborah said, you have a great presentation and voice. Well, you know, I actually have 2 series where I walk through with Matt Heffernan on Cloud Concepts, and there's 6 episodes here. And then I worked with Raf and Morgan, so Raf Lopez. So I have a couple here where I went through episode 4 with Raf, and then episode 6, we wrapped this up during our Reinforce conference in Boston. So you can get to each of those, and I'll drop the links directly to these in the chat, so that way you can continue expanding your knowledge as you progress toward your journey of becoming a certified cloud practitioner with Amazon Web Services. So thank you for that comment. All right, let me scroll down to the bottom. I see one question or one comment, work blocks Twitch. You know what? Watch the on-demand stuff, Isaac. Watch the on-demand stuff. It's still there for you. Uh, Jody's asking, have I met Jeff Bezos? I actually have once. He's very, very nice. All right. Let's go ahead and see. So one person is asking a question about if I recommend other websites for testing and preparation. Now, I will say that the ability for you to receive support from non-AWS direct training is still a great resource for you. I cannot directly recommend a specific website or a specific resource, but I can tell you that we do have training partners. Okay, we have training partners, and we also have AWS community heroes that help out as well. So double check those, and if you're able to find a resource that works for you, awesome. That's amazing, and I wish you the best of luck. Okay. One person's asking if a 3-day long training session is paid or if it costs anything. Yes, it does. All the details are listed on the Certified Cloud Practitioner page in terms of what is free and what is paid. One person's asking, do I suggest attending the technical day or cloud practitioner day first? That depends. Depends on your experience. Take a look at the agenda for the class and then see how it best matches your skills. And take the class that makes the most sense for you. Take the class that works best with your calendar. I would say if you're able to, attend both of them. The technical day is going to work, but the cloud practitioner day is going to expand on what you learned today. This was more like an exam prep type conversation. Let's review some questions. Let's answer questions for you, but go ahead and take both of them. One person's asking around renewing the certification. So if you're renewing the cloud practitioner certification, technically you can renew it by taking the exam again, but I would actually recommend leveling yourself up and taking the SA associate exam. Or if you really wanted to challenge yourself, you can go with the SA professional exam. If you wanted to go outside of the SA track and maybe go developer or systems operations, all of the associate certifications will renew. If you have still a valid cloud practitioner certification, it will renew the certification for cloud practitioner. So I would recommend leveling up, okay? All right. Which labs can we send them again? Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem at all. Let me scroll up, grab the labs. Oh, it looks like Darren already sent it back out. Thank you, Darren. All right, everyone's starting to drop. So if you just joined, we're wrapping up the exam prep for AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Foundations. Thank you each for attending. Thank you each for joining. Continue learning, continue growing, get out there, make some awesome stuff, get some hands-on experience if you're able to, take CloudQuest, watch the Twitch shows, sign up for other training sessions, and stay in touch. So remember, happy cloud computing from all of us at AWS. Thank you very much. Have a great day.